Welcome to Fulfillment in Faith, where we will dive deep into self-discovery, empowerment, and manifesting the life you desire. I'm your host, Shannan and through my own experiences with addiction, sobriety, and personal growth, I've learned invaluable lessons that I'm passionate about sharing with you. Now let's start creating a life you love. Hello, everybody. My name is Shannan and I want to thank you all for coming to my podcast today, Fulfillment in Faith. Today, my guest is Thank you for tuning into Fulfillment in Faith. If you're ready to take your faith and empowerment to the next level, connect with me at shannonmondor.com. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. Together, we can create the lives we love. Until next time, stay empowered and keep the faith.
Really great, and I have been looking forward to that conversation with you.
I know. So me and Dr. Rani had an absolutely wonderful meet and greet a couple weeks ago, and we really connected. And with her story, and her journey, I know that it is going to change people's lives out there. And of course, that is the whole purpose of this podcast. Because as we all know, we are not the only one with these different situations and circumstances that happen with us in life. And a lot of times we do think that we are the only ones in those darkest hours. So once you hear Dr. Rani speak, and if you know somebody that would benefit from this podcast or is going through something very difficult, I ask that you please send this to them or tell them to come to my podcast and to listen to it. So, but right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Dr. Rani tell us a little bit about herself, where she's from, and then if you can get right into your story, Dr. Rani, I would really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Shannan. Thank you to your audience as well. I'm really excited to be here to talk to them, to share my story. And yes, it's been something that I've been waiting. So let me start straight away. I am living in the UK. I've been living in the UK for the past 12 years. I am originally from Mauritius. I'm not sure that the audience know where this is, but I'll tell you. It is a very tiny island between the big continent of Africa and the other continent on the other side is Australia. So Mauritius is in between those two big continents. It's a little small island in the Indian Ocean, and that's where I grew up and I did my studies. And I have been traveling the world. I am a full-time academic. I teach human resource management at the university in Nottingham. And I have been teaching for the past 20 years in various universities in Australia, in China, in several universities in the UK and in Mauritius. And my journey, I will try to make it short because we have only 40 minutes, so I'll make it short. It started really when I was 4 years old, Shannan. That was the time where I would say was the most challenging for a little girl that I was. I was living by the sea with my parents and my little sister. And at 4 years old, the love of my life passed away. And that was my grandmother. She was the person who understood me, who would have time for me, and who would listen to me. So when she passed away, I remember her funeral. I couldn't talk. Nobody even had time for me. Everybody was preparing things and I saw everything. You know, children, we see everything, even if nobody pays attention to us. But this was something that really made me feel completely lost, completely unloved as I grew up, and I didn't know. And because her love was such a big love, she had such a big heart, Shannan. And I still remember when she would come and visit me, she gave me a necklace that I still have, a gold necklace. And whenever she would come when I was little, she would always tell me, what do you want? What would you like me to bring? And she was like my Santa Claus. She would bring everything I would ask. I would ask for a dress. One time I even asked for a duck, and she brought a live duck at home. Yes, so I miss her a lot at that when that happened, but I didn't realize it. You know, as children, we grow up, and I grew up feeling very empty from that day, very lonely, because I didn't have much friend who would come around in that place. I was living by the sea, but it was mostly bungalows that people come on holidays, but we were living in that house near the sea. So she was the one that I always liked to spend time with. And as I grew after that, soon after she passed away, a few couple of months, I was sexually abused. You know, predators, they know when children are alone, they are a bit neglected. They can sense that. My parents were great, but they were very busy. They had my little sister to look after. My mom, she had to look after her. My dad had to work to make sure we had table on the food. So his job was just expanding at that time. So not many people had time for me to sit and listen to me. Only my grandmother did, but she was gone. So that's when I was sexually abused. I didn't say anything to anybody for weeks. And I remember I would hide under the table when my dad would take me home for lunch. Usually he would bring me home for lunch and then take me back to the kindergarten. But I remember I was hiding under the ironing board and I didn't want to go back. But they didn't ask me why until one day I came and told them. So it was after a few weeks that this happened. I came and told my parents. And
Was this repeated with you, Dr. Rani?
yes,
Repeated
it
over
was
and over.
repeated. It was repeated maybe three or four times that this happened
So sorry.
consecutively. But I didn't say anything because I was scared. I didn't know what my parents would say, and it was. And when I said that to my mom, they changed my school, but they told me, oh, she would forget about it, but never said anything to me about it, never allowed me to talk, you know. They
Mhm.
didn't know. They
Right.
think that children wouldn't remember. And I never paid attention to that. And I grew up, so at 7 years old, I started getting bullied at school by a teacher, a replacement teacher or a supply teacher who would replace my teacher when he was sick. And I remember that gentleman, he was very nasty. For no reason, he started bullying me because one day I stood up in front of the class and said that one of my friends was not speaking, but he was upset that I did that. No children would do that, but I did. And since that day, he waited for me at the gate. Even if I was walking with my father, he was waiting for me. And as soon as I crossed the school gate, he said, I will cut your hair if you say something. He always threatened me. So I was so scared. And I never said anything to my parents until we moved house and I moved school. And then after that, I told my mom. My mom said, why didn't you tell us? But I was scared of what would happen because at home it wasn't safe to say things, and home wasn't a very safe place because I would get punished for no reason. So I wouldn't dare to speak. So I grew up suppressing my emotions, suppressing my voice, not saying anything, and I started to get sick, to have a lot of throat issues because I was suppressing my voice and I didn't know. I even had to go for surgery, tonsils, to have it removed. So, and as I grew up, I felt very, very lonely, never understood why. I was in crowds among family, relatives, always felt lonely and felt sad. I didn't know why. And at school, I was the quietest student in the class. All my friends can still tell you that. And I went to university, that was okay. And when I started working, that's when the issues started. But it was different kind of issues. It was bullying from supervisors in the workplace. And that was getting repeated from one job to another. So I would leave one job, I say the next job would be better. No, every job was like that. And even academic positions in the UK, I was being bullied. So I was moving, Shannon, from one job to another every 1.5 years. It was like things would happen in the workplace. As soon as I would speak up, I would get bullied by those people at the job. I couldn't speak my truth. And I realized in 2018 that not it happened in 2016, sorry. In my previous job, not this current job, the previous one, it was getting too much. And I had to resign within a very short notice. Within 2 days, I had to put my resignation because the bullying was so bad. It was from the line manager, from the school manager who supported her. It was so much. It's like there was no way out of it because I just was a new employee in that job. I didn't complete a year to have a full-time position.
Did you
And I,
keep looking back and think, what is it with me that this
yes,
is happening?
yes, in 2014, I started to realize there must be something that I need to do differently. What is it? But I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I was searching for that. I was looking for some course, but I didn't find the right course in 2014. But I kept praying. I remember I was praying to God in 2014, going to church and asking God, help me to find a way. I need to find out why this pattern of bullying, every job is like that. And in 2016, it happened again. I thought it would be the last one, but it happened again. I was still praying, believing that God, I need to find out why there is something wrong with me. You know, there is
Hmm.
something that I need to change. And when I left that job, it gave me, because, when I was in that trauma of those jobs where you are bullied,
Yeah.
you don't have time to think because of the job pressure. You are in a constant state of survival. So you can't think.
Hmm.
But when I left the job in 2016, I had the time to think for the first time.
Yeah.
I went by the river, Shannon, and I sat for months just relaxing, just praying and being still.
Yes. And like I can so relate with you when you say that because it took me that pivotal moment in my life where I I was at the brink of suicide, where I was
Mm.
done with everything, was when I was brought to my silence. And then I could look back at everything. And then, of course, during that time too, was when I wrote my book. And after I finished writing my book and I read it fully and completely, that was a holy smokes light bulb moment. It was like, look at all of these patterns that kept on repeating over and over. And I never seen it, like you said, because you're right in the middle of the storm that's happening. And then it was like, oh my goodness, it was me. Like, what was
Yeah.
within me? So when something would pop up in the future, it was like, okay, why is this happening now? And it is such a pivotal wake up moment. And I can just imagine what you were feeling in that time when you were sitting there in your stillness and you were by the water.
Yes, that gave me a lot of food for thought to
Oh,
reflect, to think about things. And I am glad I made the decision to go back to Mauritius at that time because I was on a work visa, so I couldn't stay any longer. So I am glad I went home for a year. And when I went home, it gives, when you are with your family, with your friends, it does boost me up. It just gave me a different, I didn't have to worry about paying rent and all that. So that was a big thing. That was really a big relief for me. But when I went home, not many people were happy that I wanted to go back. And so
why
when I
is
was in
that? Why is that?
because they were telling me, haven't you learned your lesson?
Oh,
When you go back to the UK, what happened to you in all these jobs? Are you not learning your lesson? I say this time it will be different because when
mhm.
I've been praying when I was home, a voice told me you have to go back. I
Yes.
didn't. I didn't know that voice came and say, you have to go back. This time it will be different. And I
Yeah.
applied for jobs and I got a job and I came back to the UK in 2018. And I felt in my heart that this time I will learn something different, but I didn't know what, Shannon.
Yeah. And that was your pivotal point of you taking your power back.
Yes.
Well, I got
And
the
I
chills
was,
because because I've been through that. I know what you're saying. This to me is just wonderful.
and you know, when I was in Mauritius at that for that 1 year, I got into a relationship for the first time in my life. And that gave me a lot of time to think about love that I never had time to think before.
Mhm.
You know, that person helped me to think for myself and used to tell me, you have to fill your cup first. But I couldn't understand yet at that time, you know, because when you have been through so much trauma stored in your body for so many years, when somebody from outside tells you, you don't know what is true and what is false anymore. You can't make sense.
Yeah.
And that person has been a great help to me in terms of helping me to reflect on loving myself first, putting myself, and the relationship didn't work. And because I had to come back and we had different goals, and it was just part of it, my journey. And I'm glad I met that person. So I came back in 2018 to the UK, and after 2 years, after a year and a half, the pandemic hit. So, but at that time, 2018 to 2019, I was still searching for that course. But I say I don't want to go to university. Though I work in university, I don't want a course that is complete theory. I want something that is practical that help me to understand myself, because theories hasn't helped me to understand myself for years. I did a PhD, I never understood myself. People told me before, when you do a PhD, you understand yourself. But I never really understood myself because it's a different kind of environment where it's mostly about applying theory. So you don't really get into going deep within yourself.
Yeah, it's
And
applying theories to the outside world,
yes, yes,
right?
that's what it
Where
is.
where what we do is like it's all inner work.
Yes, which is completely two
Totally
different
different.
worlds,
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah.
And I had no confidence in myself. When I look back, I realized in 2018, I didn't have much confidence in myself for years since I was a child, for experiencing all these bullying experiences. And I started in 2019 my first course. I found a course. It wasn't yet what I was looking, but it was a great course that helped me to look within. It was a course on love, because I say, why is it that I can't find a partner my whole life? Why I can't be in a stable relationship? And the only relationship I had, it didn't even last more than 3 months.
Mhm.
So I say, I need to find out. And that love course, it for 3 months I did it. It opened doors for me that I would never thought. It has helped me to find the hypnotherapy course that has been life changing for me, that has helped me to go to the root cause of all my bullying patterns that I had, to address the confidence issues, the lack of confidence and self-esteem that I had, the I didn't, the not feeling enough, the belief of not being enough, not being loved. I had to go deep, peel one by one, layer by layer, Shannon. And this wasn't easy, but I love doing it because every time I was doing it, I feel I was releasing so much. You won't believe me, Shannon. For 3 years, I have been crying like I never cried in my life,
Mhm. Mhm.
because I've been doing the hypnotherapy and other courses, and every time the same issues would come up, the same scene would come up, and people have told me, when those scenes come up, it means that there are still wounds to be healed. But when those scenes don't come up anymore, you know that these issues have been cleared. And I
And
had
that's why and that's why
yes,
a lot of people will not do inner work is because they're how would I put it? I don't want to say they don't have the strength to unravel. They're too afraid to because they're worried what will unravel next, because you know just as well as I do, it's like layer after layer after layer. And
Yes.
I'm so thankful that I have done that work, because I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't be happy and joyful and, you know, all of that. But if I could give anybody advice out there, inner work is the best thing you could possibly do for yourself, and you are the best investment that you should be investing in, no matter what. And yeah, it's so I understand exactly what you're saying when it comes to crying, and also knowing that vulnerability is such a huge strength. If people could actually see that and understand that, and most of all, feel that.
Yes. You know, I was so determined to peel those layers. I had no fears. It didn't matter to me who was my therapist, because we were practicing with each other. So we had a lot of practice before we could work as a therapist. So I had hundreds of sessions done on me. I didn't care, but I was just opening up because I felt I needed to let go of things. So I really, when I was in the session, I was very present, very open, very vulnerable, because I know when I gave session to some of my friends, a lot of people were very tight, didn't want to go to some places, but I did. I did because I knew it. I felt good after that. After every session, I felt much better within myself. It has helped me to heal the irritable bowel syndrome that I had for years, Shannon.
Mhm. Mhm.
I couldn't eat. At one point, my issues was the irritable was so serious in my life that I had a limited amount of food and vegetables to eat. But when I started healing from those issues, the irritable bowel syndrome is gone, and I can eat almost everything in moderation. So I can eat, I have a bigger variety of food to choose from. And I feel like and I feel more alive in my body. So I have been going through a lot. I invested a lot on myself. I tell you, more than I paid for university fees. I
Oh,
invested on me.
that's, yeah, that's exactly like me, and worth absolutely every penny. But
Yes.
I know now too that if I wake up and I've got some sort of ailment in my body, I know that it's because something's going on in my life. And it's like, okay, what is it? What is bothering me right now? And just as soon as I figure what it is and I sit with myself, then over the next day or two, then I can feel how my body has started to heal, you know, automatically. Like my arms used to freeze up on me. And it
Mm,
was because I would be holding tension or whatever in, right? And then especially at night, I didn't realize that I would be holding my fists when I'm sleeping. And then it was like, okay, what is going on here? And just as soon
okay.
as I could remember, okay, what it is, what's upsetting me so badly, and you would be the exact same way.
Yes, 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 yes. I think when we experience such deep trauma, and when once we start that healing journey, because we are very sensitive, that's why we experience all these trauma. We could experience the things that are going on around us, but once we heal, we can heal ourselves much
Yes.
quicker. We know where to go to heal those parts of ourselves. And I found that with myself as well. When I have a pain in the back or any other pain, I locate it very, very quickly now. I know where it's coming from, and we can just shift it straight away. It's very, very much easier when I was a child, because we are more connected with ourselves, you know. That's why we can tap into ourselves, because we have now been able to look within ourselves to connect with our emotions that I have numbed myself, Shannon, for years, until the past 4 years that I did the work. I didn't feel any joy, no sadness when people passed away. I felt nothing and completely numb myself.
And I got a question for you too. During that time of COVID, like so many people, they, that was when their scarcity really started to come out. How were you during that time of COVID?
Oh, that was the best time of my life.
Mine too.
I,
Mine too. I knew you were going to say that, but I wanted the audience to hear, because anybody that's doing their inner work, that
yeah.
is like, that was like the best time
Oh,
for us,
yes.
because we were forced to sit in our stillness, but we also were ready to sit in our stillness and
Yes.
embrace that.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's why, like, I look at all, most of the world, they were just going crazy and,
Yeah.
there was just so many bad things that were happening.
Yes.
And that was like, you were forced. You were
Yeah.
forced, whether you wanted to or not. And it's sadly, a lot of people just couldn't do it. But me, I loved every minute of it. Oh yeah, that
I
really
loved
changed
it.
my
It's
life.
like, people were feeling so isolated. I had no time to feel isolated. I was on 5 courses per
I know.
day, Shannon. And I was on different communities with Les Brown, with Forbes Riley. I tell you, the people that I met at those times, Deepak Chopra, oh my God,
You
the
met
people
Deepak Chopra? You met Deepak Chopra. Oh my
online, yes, it was
God.
like live to live. It's Marisa Peer. Oh my God, I tell you, the opportunity that came up would never. I met Sylvester Stallone. It was amazing courses. I have been like private interviews we had with him, sharing his
Okay.
story. We had other actresses who came. We had, oh my God, very well-known people in the personal development. I was on courses with Bob Proctor when he was live
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
week. And oh my God, it was the best time of my life. I met so many people. I joined so many communities. I felt so connected with myself and with everybody. I
Oh,
had no time to think of the pandemic, what was going on. I was just on my
yeah,
computer,
like you're on
Shannon.
fire, right? Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
that
Yep.
is, oh, that's
Yep.
wonderful. So my next question is, throughout your whole journey, what is the one thing that you learn the most? We always learn so many things, but there's always one thing that always stands out over all of them. And what was that for you, Dr. Rani?
I think there are two big things for me, I would say. The first one is to start loving myself, that I never did my whole life. I was always a people pleaser. I played that role of the carer, caring for everybody. I was the sick child. I played that role of being sick all the time. And I was also the perfectionist, the child who had to be perfect in everything that she does to get the approval, but never receive any approval. Until I started to go within, love myself, give myself the love, treat myself with kindness, with compassion, with curiosity, attending to my needs. That has been life changing, because I would say when you start to love yourself, everything changes, because you attract more loving people to your life. People see that you love yourself. So it's life changing. And Oscar Wilde said the greatest romance you will ever have is with yourself, because you live with yourself 24/7, you
Mhm.
have to love yourself. You don't have a choice than loving yourself, because you have to be your own cheerleader. And I started to cheer myself and not wait for anybody's approval, and love myself like never before. And that's what I tell my clients: love yourself madly, crazily. Give yourself the love if you want to attract love. You
And
don't
that
have
was
to keep chasing love. You just have to love you and love everything about you.
I would have to say that was one of the biggest lessons that I had to learn, for the fact that if I can't love myself, how am I going to teach others to love me?
Mm,
And that was huge for me, because once I loved myself, then I knew what my boundaries were, what I would
yes.
accept and what I wouldn't accept. And it was totally amazing how many people that I attracted in, because they didn't love me because I didn't love myself. But once I started to love myself, those people had left. And
Yes.
that's something that everybody needs to learn, because you need to teach them how to love you.
Yes,
And
but
that's
the easiest thing is to start to fill your cup first. And when we are experiencing deep trauma, like you and I, so many people watching and listening today, when we experience deep trauma, we disconnect with ourselves. That is, we stop feeling our emotions, we suppress our emotions. But also, what happens is we start to blame ourselves, because as children, I'm sorry. Because as children, Shannon, the child will never blame the caregivers. The child will blame himself or herself for everything. So I had blame, I had guilt, I had shame. I took everything on me. You know, the caregiver, we say, it's your fault, it's how you behave. So I took that. It's like I hated myself. That's what happened
Mhm,
as I grew up. And I had no confidence. So it was about now getting rid of all this guilt, of all this hatred, and finding, appreciating myself for who I am, being
mhm,
approving of myself that it all this happened, but it's not my fault, and I am here to heal, and there is a big universe that will always love me no matter what,
yeah,
and there is support out there, and
yeah,
there are people who will love me and support me, but I need to find that love within me.
mhm.
And this has been the life-changing journey of loving myself, and it is a continuous journey of cheering ourselves, praising ourselves, and knowing that we are important. And whoever is listening, just want you to know you matter, and
Mhm,
you are important, and you are enough.
mhm.
And I have a beautiful quote I want to share with everybody that I discovered along my journey, that you are the treasure that you have been seeking.
That is
I
beautiful.
have been looking everywhere for approval. I even started shopping, like becoming somebody who shops all the time, becoming addicted to shopping. And then because of not having that feeling enough inside. So every addiction is to do with not being enough, not being approved, not being loved. So we get into those addictions in order to suppress our
Mhm,
pain.
mhm,
Yes. So
mhm.
it's about, and that other thing that come along that works together is forgiveness. You have to forgive yourself. Not only the other people, you have to forgive these people, let them go. But the greatest forgiveness is self-forgiveness. And when you forgive yourself, oh my God, things change even faster when you do that. When you forgive others, you forgive yourself, it's like, I can't explain how quickly you transform your life. It's
Yeah,
these two work together, love and forgiveness, because when you love yourself, you forgive yourself.
yeah. And I found love, forgiveness, and right after forgiveness was taking responsibility.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That opened up the gate, for taking responsibility. So would you say those two things is what you would, anybody that's going through this same journey that you went through, would you say that those are the two things, the two advice that you would give them, or is there something more that you would add to that?
I would add something more to that they can do, but these are the two big things.
Yeah.
Even if you look at the scriptures, at the Bible, what Jesus came and taught, it's love and forgiveness. He said, love your neighbor as thyself.
Mm-hmm.
And to forgive people, forgive others as God has forgiven you. So every scriptures is about love, whether you look at Buddhism, whatever religion you look at, every scriptures, it's about love and forgiveness at the end of the day. These are the two greatest tool, powerful thing that we have to do. And the other thing is build your self-esteem. Praise yourself, love yourself, because you are your own cheerleader. So nobody will praise you. Don't expect people to praise you because everybody has their own opinion. But the most important opinion is your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So love yourself and praise yourself. That will raise your self-esteem, your self-love, your self-worth, your self-value. Don't wait to get that from anybody. You start with yourself. Fill your cup first. And then when it overflows, then you can give to others, and then you can transform the world. So transform you first. When you transform your life, the world will also change. Yeah.
Absolutely. And these are the things that I'm trying to instill in our children that are still home. Of course, continuing, I've got 4 children,
Okay.
but it's so important for the younger ones right now to know that because they're in middle school, high school, and they're so impressionable with the social media and everything that's going out there. And the world has totally changed from when you and I were that age, right? So
That's true. That's
It's,
true.
yeah, it's like I just see how everything with my two younger ones is what's everybody else doing? You know, it's all about the outside world, and it's like, no, you two, it's about what's really going on within you.
Mm.
And it can be so heartbreaking at times. And it's just like, oh, yeah, yeah. So of course the protective mama bear comes into play as well too, right?
Yes, I think the best thing is to take time for the children,
Mhm.
listen to them,
I agree.
give them that space to voice their opinions and give them that place of safety. And
Yeah.
that would help them and also build their confidence. And
Mhm.
that would do amazing thing to children because knowing that their parents are a safe place to come, that will give them the foundation that would balance their nervous system,
Mhm.
that would regulate the nervous system. And having that foundation of safety is key to life, is key to building relationships in the future because it has to start in the home.
Mhm.
Like the Maslow hierarchy pyramid, it starts with the safety needs and then it go to the physiological, to the security, to the self-actualization. So Maslow hierarchy is not for academics only. He did it for psychology to treat his patients. So it's having that safety that we have to, because clients have come to me, they say, I feel safe with you. I didn't have that safety. I had to build that safety within me, make myself feel safe. And I tell myself, you are safe now. You are safe within your body. I
Mhm.
have to give that to myself. And when people feel that you are safe yourself, then they will feel safe to express themselves. And
Mhm.
that's when the healing happens.
Yeah. And being your,
We heal each other when we are in a safe space.
yeah,
Yeah.
being your true authentic self too, that's where safety is. And I get the same thing too. People are like, you're so grounded, you're so calming. And it's because, yeah, I'm just being my true authentic self. I've done the work. I know what it's like. I know how you feel. I've been
Mm,
there. Take my hand and I can show you, for sure. Now, with
that's,
your journey, and where you've been and where you are now, that's what I would like to talk about is where are you now?
oh my God. I am in an expansion mode,
Yeah.
super busy doing so many things that I would never have thought in million times when I was 4 years old I would do. Not even when I was at university. I have my own podcast, which has been aired for the past 3 years. It is called Amazing You by Dr. Rani. So I have a podcast and YouTube channel. Also, I have published books, co-authored 2 books with Dr. John Gray, the very well-known author from Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and with my other 30 other coaches from the Mars Venus Academy, and with Dr. John Gray, we co-authored a book called Love and Coaching, where every coach shared their journey of how of their life and how they are using the Mars Venus coaching tools to help themselves and to help their clients. So that's what we share. It's an amazing book with a lot of techniques that people can apply to their daily lives. And I co-authored another book with a friend of mine called Susie Dent. And that book I shared about my journey of experiencing sexual abuse. So the book is called Bare, Naked, and Beautiful. And I've got three three co-authored books coming. So coming this year.
Oh, you
So
are
one is coming.
busy.
Yes, I tell you, super busy. One is coming in August, one in December, and one is early next year. So extremely busy. And what am I doing? I am on different podcasts myself, talking. What else am I doing? I have clients, regular clients, coaching clients, and I have tarot reading sessions, everything I do online so people can reach out to me. I also offer I am a clinical hypnotherapist and I offer sessions to clients online to help them go to their root cause of their issue, whether it's physical or emotional. And I include other modalities. So I do compassion session. So I include astrology. I do astrology reading. I also am a research star magic practitioner where I help people remotely. I can help them to heal their physical, their emotional issues, which is amazing. I keep on growing and learning, and I've been on so many other courses. You know, you have to keep on growing
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
same time. So I
yeah,
just been recently on a course that has been, wow, super powerful to keep the vibration, to raise my energy level, to get rid of more ancestral traumas. So
yeah.
yeah, it's a growth journey, and it's an
Yeah.
amazing journey it's been so far.
And
And
that's what I
yeah,
love about this is growing never ends. You just
yeah,
keep on excelling, excelling, excelling. And the more that you grow, the more opportunities that come in, the more people that you meet, and it's just never ending. And that's, there are no limits. And that's what people need to understand. There's so many out there that people that live in scarcity. And if they could actually start on this growth, they would be where we are and they would see that there's opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. You just have to put yourself out there.
yes, yes. Yeah, that's so true. And
Mhm.
I think the one thing I would like to tell people is, let's say they don't know where to start, you know? So many people have patterns, they don't know where to start. Just start with something very simple. Just be grateful for what you have now.
Mhm.
Just be grateful for that. And just be grateful every minute of the day that you have air, that you have food, that you have a roof over your head. Just practice gratitude every moment. And that's what I keep doing, Shannon.
Mhm.
You know, it's not something that I do only when I was on that at the beginning of the journey, but I keep doing it because when you are in an attitude of gratitude, you attract the great things because what you focus on, you get more of.
Yeah.
So when you are in an attitude of gratitude, this is the highest frequency. It's very much like the love frequency. It's very high.
Yeah.
So I would say just practice gratitude to start on
Yeah,
and
when
be
you
grateful.
when you practice gratitude, it's opening up the doors to receiving, and a lot of people don't
Absolutely.
understand that. Yeah,
Yes.
appreciation and then receiving as well too. Well,
Oh, yes.
Dr. Ronnie, I'm so glad that you were on my podcast and you got to share your story and your wonderful wisdom. This was absolutely amazing. So I want to thank you, and I want to let all of the audience members know too that all the information that she had just discussed is all in the podcast notes. So please go to the podcast notes and take a look. And so my final thank you so much, Dr. Ronnie.
Thank you so much, Shannon. And if anybody wants to connect with me, feel free to get back to me to go to my two websites, MarsVenusCoachRani.com, or the other one is drani, RaniThanacoody.com. And I wish you all the very best. Know that you are amazing, that you are powerful, that you are all here for a great purpose. And Shannon, keep shining brightly. I am super excited for you for the great things. And I am really looking forward to hearing more of the great stuff that you are doing for everybody, for your audience. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here to talk to your audience. Thank you, Shannon, and all the very best to you and your audience.
Thank you so much.